I think that is working. So hopefully everybody can hear me. I'm actually traveling. I'm in Scotland right now, in Edinburgh, and I was bummed to find out that the internet over here is pretty bad. Um, so I'm at a Starbucks, and hopefully the internet here will work for this call. Um, it looks like we've got a small group today. Maybe some more people will jump in. But how many people on this call do solar marketing right now? Yeah, it's a really cool city. Okay, we have at least one person. Do you guys want to just throw like a one in the chat if you're doing solar marketing right now? I know last week we had a lot of people that were interested in the topic but weren't actually doing it. Okay, cool. So we have a couple of people here currently doing marketing in the solar space. And I wanted to do this topic, one, to just go over the snapshot and make everybody aware that it was there, but two, also get more information from you guys that are actually doing marketing in that industry, because it's an industry that I never actually did hands-on marketing for. So I'm curious to see how the snapshot resonates with what you're seeing, real time in the field. So I'm going to share my screen real quick and we can cover the snapshot. Okay. So the solar snapshot is a pretty straightforward claim book. It starts with, oops, let me move my window. Here we go. With a really basic landing page setup, but the idea is that it all revolves around a survey. So in the survey builder, you should see a survey. And if you don't, let me know, because I wasn't quite certain if that copied over with the snapshot or not. But this is just a survey that I grabbed from some stuff I saw online that looked like, was pretty standard for what people were doing. So basically, like, what is your average bill? Do you own? And then, give us basically your address, and maybe all you need is the postal code. First name, last name, and then some fine print there. So from what I could see, the idea was, hey, give us an idea of what your current bill is. That's all we need. Then it takes them to a page that says, thanks for requesting the quote. Let's go ahead and book a time to go over it and review it with you. And then it just goes to a generic thank you page. But what I wanted to chat with you all about is, does that make sense? Are the majority of you who are doing solar marketing, are you doing it like that, or are you collecting leads that you then just sort of pipe off somewhere and you don't even want or need to have a call as the second step? Because it seems to me in the industry there's a lot of buyers of leads, and all you need to do is sort of qualify them one step, and then it's good enough to sell off. So I'd love to hear from some of you. How are you doing it? Are you doing it where you would actually want to be booking calls for people, or is it more of just like, I need the survey to be exactly what I need, and then I can just zap them off to whoever I sell the leads to? Anybody have any insights they want to share? Paul, there will definitely be time to ask questions about call tracking. Although we don't have any developers on the call tonight, so hopefully I can get you an answer that you're looking for.
I mean, I'll jump in.
Great.
So, some of the other guys on the call who, do it. I guess the answer is depends, right? What's the source of traffic? Is it coming from Facebook? Is it coming off of a Google ad? The interface of that form, like if you can integrate picture choices instead of radio buttons, I think that, changes conversions. But in general, like, there's two schools of thought, right? One is get the minimal information required so that you can have a conversation or put them really at the top of the funnel and start your follow-up. Or do it sort of like omni-channel, sort of like, get a lead page, get them over to a landing page to see if it converts like yours in the form, while simultaneously trying to text them and use the other tools in HighLevel. So I guess it really depends on, what people consider qualified, because some people say that, like, they have trees. I have a few trees and they live in a forest. So I think that what's really exciting is the automation tied to the not perpetual but long tail follow-up that HighLevel offers.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, no matter the industry, you want to have a long nurture setup for people who don't convert right away. And typically you want to vary that with information like stuff from the news about the industry in general, testimonials of how much people are saving, all that kind of stuff mixed in. But so John, do you typically work with independent solar companies, or are like, for a while, wasn't like Solar City just buying leads, or can you still do that? Just sell off to like a big, one of the big companies?
You can. I'm not really in that part of the architecture. Like, I own a solar company, and I'm sort of preparing to pivot, or was, depending on what would happen in my home state tied to incentives. I was really concerned about
Okay.
that last year. So for me, in the first couple quarters, the opportunity is to take advantage of the state incentives in New Jersey before they go away or change, and that's where my focus will be, and generating leads for myself. But other guys, are either consulting or selling off the leads, although my understanding is people really want appointments now a little bit more than leads. And in the solar space, there's been a transition, I guess, over the past 18 months of more and more people learning how to like do Facebook advertising through buying courses and stuff. So it's beginning to get a little more saturated, and you see a lot of the same ad copy and same images and all that.
Yeah, so that's a good point, and I think that's a great angle to take. If your state is still offering incentives, work that into your ads, especially if the incentives, do they also apply to the homeowner, or is it more incentives for your company?
Oh, it's for the homeowner.
Okay,
Or
so
business.
especially if it's going to go away, so that's real scarcity, right? So I would definitely try to leverage that part in your ad copy, and then obviously, if you own a solar company, or if you're working with clients who own their own companies, you'd want to really make that landing page way more robust with real testimonials, real images of your staff out on roofs, stuff like that. Cool. Let me see, I got a couple of, yes, it's a typical landing page, but I want to start setting appointments. Okay, great. Yeah, that was my other question. I know that there are a lot of sort of solar calculators out there, third-party ones. So that was one of my questions, is like, has anybody had success with the model I showed of like, hey, give us some information and now let's schedule a call to go over it? Or do people expect like an insta quote? And if they do, has anybody found like a third-party insta quote that integrates with Zapier? That's something that I've been wondering if that exists yet or not. Anybody use one of those insta quote features where it actually comes back with real numbers? No? All right.
Yeah, Chase, can you hear me?
Maybe that's something that's not out there yet. Yeah.
Can you hear me, Chase?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Google made a software as one of their skunk work projects. It's called Google Project Sunroof. A lot of people don't know about it, but they actually type it in and put in their exact address, and it gives them a pretty close estimate, depending on the state they're living, how much solar would cost if you would do a loan, purchase it outright, or do a purchase power agreement. But I don't have a lot of coding skills, so I don't know whether you could integrate that through Google, but it's pretty accurate because I've actually talked to a lot of reps in the area, and they said it's pretty close to what they price their systems at.
Interesting. Could you, what is it called? Could you drop that in the chat?
Yeah, we'll do it right now.
I'm sure some other people will find that interesting. And if there's a way, if it is open, so it doesn't actually send you to like Solar City or anything like that.
They used to sell leads, but they saw that it was getting saturated, so they actually don't push that lead to anyone. It's just more of an estimated tool for homeowners.
Right, but Steven, doesn't at the end of that process, doesn't it there's a button at the bottom that says solar companies near me, and it uses like geolocation for local like
I don't know.
companies.
Maybe it was an updated feature, but I thought they stopped selling leads.
Right.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
that's
It might have updated.
Project Sunroof. Well, it sounds like that people don't expect an instant quote, which is great because that means the traditional claim book model should work just fine. Project Sunroof. Personalize your solar now.
Oh, I love Project Sunroof. That's genius.
Have you heard of it, Sean?
Google's Project Sunroof, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the reason I don't have solar. It's because it tells me 20 years later I'd still lose money.
Well, it's accurate. Not everyone's suited for solar.
Up here in the great Northwest, we don't have as much sun as we'd like. So, yeah,
It's funny you say that because I remember talking to you when I first signed up for HighLevel. You said you lived in Eugene, and I was actually running ads in Eugene. So you might have seen them on your Facebook feed.
The thing about running ads in Eugene is it's still a good place to prospect because most people here get solar not because it's a bright idea from a money perspective, but because we really like saving the environment. So it's a wonderful.
Yeah.
I'm sure you did great there.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Yeah, the post went viral for the first like 30 days.
See, there you go. We love our solar here, even if it doesn't really help us monetarily speaking.
Sean brings up a good point with a retargeting opportunity. Definitely retarget people that, interact with your ad or landing page with some stuff to make them feel guilty.
Exactly. Do you like murdering the environment? Get solar today.
Awesome. So, Sean, do you know if you can, is Project Sunroof something, is it like open source that anybody could integrate into their funnel?
Project Sunroof API. Hold on, let me use the Google machine. I don't know. Good question. They don't seem to have necessarily have an API, although it's sitting inside their data explorer. So I don't know that it would be, I don't think it's impossible. Oh, I did say they put an end to their lead generation business. I guess they used to, that's why they started it. They used to sell leads off this thing.
That was my first question is, do they sell these leads somewhere?
They used to. Yeah, but no, they decided to get rid of it.
One thing I've seen people do with this kind of thing, like in the realtor space, is design like a pretty looking sort of report, and design it so it looks like it's sort of cut off, so that when somebody does fill up a survey, you can automatically email that back saying like, hey, your report is ready. Let's go ahead and schedule your review call or whatever. And that sort of makes them feel like you did generate an instant
You're
report.
like, hey, get a custom quote on your sunroof, blah, blah, blah. Put in your address and all that. Yeah, I think that's totally, eventually we'll add a form field called address, and we'll link it to the Google Address API. So at least you can like type and fill it in as you go.
Oh, that would be cool.
Yeah. So sorry, I jumped in on wherever the heck. I don't even know what you guys were talking about, but
Yeah, no, we just sort of went through it really quickly. I mean, it's a pretty standard claim book. I had some questions because I hadn't actually done solar marketing, but it sounds like it's pretty standard compared to the other niches.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think the best point so far was that some of the incentives are starting to go away in the near future, which makes great advertising, right? Scarcity,
Yeah, right. Get on
solar,
it.
do it now and get on it because the benefits are going to go away pretty soon. I think that's a great idea. And Sean, so you could answer this question: is the survey in the snapshot now? Do surveys get swallowed up in snapshots? They do,
I don't
right?
see why not.
Okay. I think
I don't know them not to be in the survey.
Okay, that's what I thought as well. So yeah, I mean, if anybody has any other questions, solar specific or just in general, fire away. I think the first question about call tracking. Paul, are you still on? Doesn't look like it unless that's Paul, that's iPhone. How do you save a campaign and transfer it to another location?
Campaigns are already, Yeah. Saved.
campaigns save automatically, right?
Yeah. Well,
Um,
but not anymore, I guess. You technically do have to hit the button.
there's a save button. I thought that was in triggers. Let's see here.
So, hey Sean, it's Jacob here.
Hey, Jacob.
So what I did was I had like text and email templates, and I
Uh-huh.
built out a whole campaign, and I hit save, but I'm not able to copy it from location to location. I don't know if that's just a glitch or if I'm doing something
Like if you're
wrong.
inside the campaign under the actions, it doesn't say copy
Yeah,
campaign.
Right. Well, you can copy like the steps, but it doesn't bring over the templates. So like I saved all of my messages in templates, and it didn't transfer. I don't
Wait,
know.
are these HTML emails?
No, they're just regular, just the ones on the campaign, just regular emails.
That's weird. Never seen that before. Yeah, you should definitely reach out to support.
Okay.
They should copy
Yeah.
right over. That's strange.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. I don't know what was up with
Let
it,
me know
but-
though. I mean that's just kind of curious.
So
Yeah,
what you're saying is
I'll
every
check it
email
again.
in the campaign is a template. It's not actual like text in the email builder.
Right, exactly. So it's just a template. So I went in and I made the text templates and I made the email templates, and then I built out the whole campaign, and then I hit publish and save, and then I tried to copy it to a new location, but it's not copying. So I don't know if that's a one-off event or if other
Sounds
people
like
have
it to
had
me.
issues with that.
I mean, we would definitely hear about that if it wasn't a one-off event. So, but just let me
Okay.
know. like just keep me abreast on what support says, I guess, because I just find that.
Yeah. Yeah, whenever I get back to my
I'll try that
computer,
on my
I'll try
side
it.
too. I'll try that on my side when I get a sec and see if I can see any issues for me.
Okay, sounds good. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course, man.
How long? Another question. How long before those membership sites roll out?
Call it 2 months,
2 months. Okay, cool.
just to be super safe. They're
All right.
in production now, but I just don't want to lie.
Yeah, sounds good. Appreciate it.
Sean, I think the other thing that several people have hit me up about recently is the smart list.
Yes.
Are we getting close?
Well, let's just say for sure next week, but Varun says maybe before that.
Awesome. And we're going straight live, right? No beta?
I don't think so. That's correct.
Cool.
Sorry, I'm debugging some custom CSS as we go for somebody in the Facebook group.
Multitasking.
I'm
All right.
trying.
What else? Who else has questions? What exactly is smart list? Oh, Steven, if you are not aware, your world is
Now
about
you got
to get a
Chase
lot
excited.
better. Smart list is probably one of the coolest features I think we've launched in a long time. It basically gives you the ability to add multiple filters to your contacts. So you could say, show me people that don't have anything in the address field that also have this tag. And then you can save that as a smart list. And it constantly dynamically updates itself. So, next week when you go back, if people have, had that tag but don't anymore, they will no longer be in the smart list. So it's going to solve a lot of challenges that people have been facing as far as, being able to interact with your contacts better. So it's going to be pretty exciting. When is HighLevel getting a facelift? Maybe different colors or cleaner UI?
Well, later this year for sure. It's all about trying to figure out kind of what is the most important thing to do. Although if you're so inclined, you can facelift it yourself because you can do custom CSS, right? So you could technically make it look any way you darn well please.
But we do have an open job rec for a graphic designer, right?
Well, yeah. And if anyone knows a actually really good designer, then yeah, I'm all ears.
So yeah, I think that might be step one.
But yeah, it's mostly about finding the right person, to be honest. Like if someone actually could hand me over a top-notch designer tomorrow that had a good portfolio, I'd be all about it.
But as Sean pointed out, someone just posted some pretty cool CSS the other day. in Facebook. Trying to think of who that was, but it was their dashboard looked pretty cool. Maybe
That's
somebody
true.
remembers who posted that. His name was Fair. Okay. Yeah, that sounds familiar. So hit up Fair in Facebook, and he's giving away CSS. Pretty nice CSS.
I agree with that. It was really cool.
All right, what else? Who else has questions? Let me check Facebook.
Can you hear me now, Chase? It's Paul.
Yeah. Hey, Paul, how's it going?
Good. I'm driving, so if it doesn't sound very good quality, that's why. So I've done basic call tracking with CallRail for a few years. So that part, that's part is easy. It's the dynamic number swapping. I've never done that before.
Yeah.
And so I just want to confirm that. So basically, if I can't use their business number as the main number, right? Like I have to get a tracking number first and then do the dynamic number swapping. Like I'm not quite certain how that part works.
So what you're going to do is, by default, the website you would put their main number on there, and then when you put the swap code on, we'll target that number, and then we'll automatically swap that number out based on the as people visit from different sources. That's the whole idea. The whole idea is like, if I was to come to the website without let's think about this, without the dynamic number swap, or let's say my JavaScript was disabled or something, I would still see a phone number there. The dynamic number swapping is just designed to go in there and swap it out.
Okay, so if I have if I have a landing page with the dynamic number swapping set up, they come to that landing page from Facebook. It's just going to know it's from Facebook and it's going to swap it out.
That is the idea. Yes.
Yeah, if you have the source set as Facebook. So there's a couple of options when you create, but to answer your first question, you do need to create a number pool, right? So you need to buy a new number.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah, I get that.
okay, so then you'll, like Sean said, you'll tell it what number is the target, and that's going to be the real business number that's on the page. And then when you create the pool, it asks you, okay, what's the source of this pool? You can do all traffic and it'll just always swap, or you can be specific and say like paid Google ads or Facebook, and if it matches, then it swaps.
Oh, I see. So it won't really, like I can't use one number pool for Facebook and Google and
Yeah, you can.
I can.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's
And
the whole point.
And it'll tell me where that traffic is coming from with one number pool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It will absolutely do that. That's the whole idea, Paul. It's like, hey, here's 8 numbers, no matter where they come from, AdWords, Facebook, Google Organic, whatever. We're going to swap, and figure out each time as those leads come in where they're coming from, and then tell you exactly where they came from.
Gotcha. Okay. And then just use their main number for any ad placement. Like if I have ads and their numbers in the copy and stuff like that, just use their main number, and it'll just automatically swap it out then, right?
Yeah, that is the idea. Because when you set up the number pool, what the script needs to know is what number am I looking for on the page to swap out to begin with. So use their main number.
Okay. Will the number, when it swaps, will it remain clickable?
Wait, when the number swaps, will it what?
Will it stay clickable on the website?
I don't know. You'll have to test. Maybe. I think so.
Well, I did test it. I couldn't make that work, so that's one of the reasons I asked, right?
You couldn't make the swap work or the click work?
I can make the swap work, but not the click.
Oh, well, worst case scenario, I mean, we always come out with features, sort of round one. So maybe that's something we need to just report to Akash and have him take a look. So if you have it set up somewhere, you can PM Akash on Slack and say, hey, can you take a look at this and see if you can make this work? Because there's no reason we should disable the click.
Yeah, I just was wondering because you might just not be able to do it with the way.
I'm certain we probably can. Let's just get a test case together. We can show it.
All right, I'll do that. Okay, pretty simple then. It works kind of like I thought, so no biggie. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, no worries, man.
Yeah, and I don't know if you're in the call tracking channel in Slack. It's #call-tracking.
Oh yeah, let me.
I'm gonna post that right now for
Paul in there. Hold on.
Gosh.
perfect. Thank you. I didn't know.
There you go, Paul. You've been invited.
Thank you. Oh, while we're at it, and I know this question comes up every time, but what about the email tracking? When is that going to come out, do you think?
What email? Which part of email tracking?
So we can check open rates, click rates, all of that kind of stuff.
Oh,
right?
yeah. Sorry. So the guy who's doing smart lists has what he basically got half of that done. We put him on smart lists. So as soon as he's done, let's say next week, he'll move back to that. So as soon as it takes him to kind of resurface the rest of it. So I'd say probably in March.
Okay, that's good. And one other thing that I think was talked about quite a while ago, but I haven't really heard any noise on it, was folders, some way to organize, all of our zaps and our,
ideas list,
accounts and all that
vote it
kind of
up.
stuff. Okay.
I hear about this from a couple of people who are hardcore users, and I feel for you guys, and I totally want to do it for you. I just need to make sure that we get the votes for it. So please vote it up. And if you don't vote it up, we'll still eventually get there. It's just I'd like to get to it sooner rather than later.
All right. And what about the idea? Like, I think this is where folders would come in, but I have like tons of dead accounts sitting there that I don't want to delete and lose all the data because some of these guys come back, right?
Yeah,
so,
right.
Is there a way to archive, or going to be a way to archive, or is that where the folders are going to come in?
I think eventually we should have an archive option.
Okay.
I mean, I don't see that as like I'm just like, I don't know the right answer. But I think we should have an archive option at some point. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah. It's just getting really messy in our account, right? Like we got, you got to scroll through a lot to get to the accounts that are.
Yeah, I bet.
Cool. Okay. All right. Well, thanks.
Yep. Paul, I would leave that as a comment in the ideas list, because that idea is, it has a good amount of votes.
Okay.
Leave that as a comment in there, so when we get to it, they'll see, oh, that is a good idea. We'll do that as well.
Okay. Will do. Thanks.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Norman, there is a trigger for two-step order, but how do I make a trigger for one-click upsell? What's the use? So what are we trying to do here? When somebody purchases a one-click upsell, do something? Is that the use case, Norman?
Right. So I just want to notify the client, hey, you got to upsell.
Seems like a good idea. Sean, is that possible?
I have no idea. That's a good idea. Let's do that. So can you run that back to Anish, Chase, and see?
Sure.
And if not, we'll get it on his list.
Sure. Can you do that the long way around, like Stripe and Zapier?
Oh, I'm sure you could, but I mean, it's kind of a pain.
Yeah, Norman, that's my first thought. You could probably set that up right now, the roundabout way, but I'll take this to the team and see what they say.
Cool.
Who's that, Sean? Who works on that? Anish?
Anish, yeah, for sure.
Okay, great. All right. Other questions? Nobody?
Well, that's easy.
Got Sean on the call. I mean, this is a good time to throw him out there. When is labeling numbers and voicemail coming?
Labeling numbers and voicemail.
So I don't know if you saw, there is a help doc on, you can build voicemails in Twilio. It's not.
I think the question of like when are full on phone system features coming, I would say in the back half of the year. We will go after that, but it's a lot bigger than it sounds, because it's not just when is voicemail coming. It's going to be like, when is, what about time of day routing? What about picking up calls on the desktop, picking up calls on the, on the mobile, all that stuff. So we've got to be ready, I think, to tackle all those use cases. Otherwise, I don't think it'll work. So I guess that's kind of what we're waiting for, is to put a developer on it for 3 months who can basically create a phone system for everybody versus just tacking on voicemail.
Right. This is Jacob again, Sean. The use cases for me is just like smaller, but I mean, I get what you're saying as far as how it's going to be a big, beast to tackle.
Yeah, I was going to say what I've learned is I can't like soft launch stuff like that anymore. Like as soon as I step on it, I gotta be ready for it to explode. And,
Right.
And to handle
Well,
every possible case that people can dream up.
yeah, and the simple thing for me is just being able to label the different numbers, because I know that you have the number pools now, but I had numbers in CallRail that I ported over, and just being able to label them, like this is salesperson one's phone number.
Yeah,
This
I like
is,
that. I like that idea. Yeah. So one of the things I know is already on Akash's list is the ability to show numbers based if they're assigned to a salesperson, report out that way. Is that what you're looking to do?
Yeah, well, that, and then just like whenever I'm in the dashboard, have it labeled so like I know the number, because I have like 10, to 15 numbers in there. I want to know, like,
I think that's a really good idea.
Yeah, this is my website number. This is my Facebook page number. This is my, so I'm able to track the traffic, which number pools can do, which I had that in, in CallRail, but whenever I ported them over, now it's just kind of a jumble. So I want to know like where that specific is, being able to see which one's
Yeah,
which.
I like that idea. I'm going to add that to the list. Be able to label phone numbers with a name.
And then another thing with the voicemail, I know that Chase said that we can do it through the Twimlets or whatever. But that, just because whenever, like, say we're on another call and we get an inbound call, just having that voicemail there for them to be able to, to leave a voicemail so we can call them back. And then another thing that I like, that I use Slide Broadcast for, because I want to do voice drops through HighLevel, but it's so much easier with Slide Broadcast. There's a feature where you can call into one number that's like dedicated to you, and then you record the voice message, and then you just type in 1234 as the unique name or whatever, and then it saves it to your dashboard, and then you can label it. So like the cool thing about that is you give your clients and say, hey, call into this number, record the voice message for the voicemail drop, right? And then they label it, and then it's in your account. So then you're not having to chase around, MP4 files.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, I guess that's the problem with being an engineer. I just Google record MP3 online, click on it and record it, and it's like takes me 10 seconds, and I wonder why other people just can't figure that out. But yeah, I guess really dumb it down.
Yeah, it makes it a lot easier. It makes it a lot easier doing that, because they call in that number, then they then they leave the voicemail, and then it's right there in the dashboard.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. We definitely should do that. And in fact, I like the idea of actually just baking it into the interface so that they can just click record here, and then just talk into the computer and have it record. I actually think that's on the ideas list already. Okay,
cool. Perfect. Thanks, Sean.
Yeah, I like that idea. All right, we got a couple of questions in Facebook here. You guys are ditching Slack. Slack channel will dissolve. Kind of. We are channeling support all into the chat and support ticketing system, which is just way more efficient for the support team to get tickets quicker. So I don't think we'll ever like turn Slack off, but we're funneling everybody for support.
Okay, so yeah, let's talk about that. So I love Slack, and I'd be in Slack forever, except we ran into two problems. Problem A, people said, I'm really upset because no one got back to me yesterday when I posted in Slack. And I'm sorry to say, but when you have this big stream of conversations coming by all day, there's no way to track any of that. So if someone misses your conversation, of course we're going to miss it. So we don't want people to be upset because we missed something, right? Then two, I had two people cancel HighLevel because they said that due to the Slack conversations, they thought that the app was unstable. And to which I was like, and of course I asked both of these people, well, have you experienced any problems? And they said, well, no, but I just see all these other people. And so then I realized, if you if you 99% of the time, these are just setup issues or questions people have or whatever. There's no like problem here. But I think if everybody got to see the behind the scenes support at any software company USA, it would look like that too, right? And so from an impression standpoint, I don't want people thinking that like everything is broken all the time because somebody has stuff that's not set up right. So between those two reasons, that's why we went with Fresh Chat. But our goal and what's really important to me is that we continue to provide an extremely high level of customer service. One thing I do think though, and we're in discussion on this right now, and maybe this is a good place to get some feedback on this, but I also think there's, in every platform and in any situation, there's different types of customers who need different types of service. So one of the things we're talking about is adding an additional service tier that would be paid for, but with it would come a dedicated person that you could call and interface with. And so that's definitely something we're talking about. So happy to get any feedback on that. But the idea would be that you have one single point of contact, and then you would also have, hopefully like some kind of SLA as well, like 24-hour SLA kind of thing. So you'd always have somebody you could reach out to.
Yeah, throw 2 in the chat if you'd be interested in
or if you think it's a terrible idea, I'm happy to hear that too.
Paid premium support.
It's just the problem we're running into is I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people who have PM'd me on Slack since I started this call, and every one of them wants me to jump on a call with them and help them with something, which I want to totally help with. But I realize at some level this doesn't scale, so we're trying to find good solutions to good problems.
Yeah, and the ticketing system's been working great because we can more quickly get the issue to the right person on the team.
Well, and we can also monitor things like how fast are we actually replying to people. The problem with Slack also is that there's no accountability, right? Like you did post yesterday and we totally missed that, right? But there's no way to see that or track that or know. And so then we can't even tell, well, do we need to hire more support people? Are our current support people doing a good job? Like we just have no visibility into any of that. So yeah, between all those things, I think that's kind of this is what we're trying to go for. But I like talking to all of you about these ideas because we're imperfect people. So it's good to get your feedback as our customers. We want to know not just, what are we thinking, but how are we doing? And we want your feedback on that.
So Akash got back to us in the call tracking. Was it Paul who asked about the number swap isn't click call anymore?
Yes.
Okay, Akash said ping him directly, Paul, and he'll be happy to check that out for you.
And props to Akash, who's up at 1:30 in the morning.
Yeah. And then the other question was about applying labels to each number. Akash said he'll chat with Varun about making that happen. Next question in Facebook is, can you sort contacts by which form they filled out? With SmartList, I don't know that will be a default filter, but what you could easily do is when somebody, apply a tag to each form, and then you'd be able to definitely filter by the tag.
Yeah, that's what I would do too anyways. Like even if, I don't know that, I'm trying to think, maybe I would add that in there, but I think the tag is a better place to house that information because in reality, you're trying to track kind of like a state and there's always a possibility you could get into that state out of more than just one way. And I think the tags make it infinitely easier to do it.
Cool. All right, that's the last question. Open question I see. I saw a couple of new people. Hey, Bill, what's happening?
Oh, not much. Just a quick question on, I want to upload a bunch of leads that are across multiple accounts. And do I have to do those individually, or can I upload those and assign the location ID in the lead and it would determine that?
Individually, only because we never imagined that would ever be that would be a possibility. So, I mean, in fact, today's the first time I've ever heard that. So that's interesting. Well, we'll see if it continues. We can always.
No, it just saves a little
it saves you some time, right? So yeah, well, if that happens a lot, we'll definitely add it as a feature.
Sounds good.
Cool. All right. We're hitting the 45-minute mark. Anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I've got one.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Fire away.
Yeah, I was just curious if there's going to be an open API at some point, like to connect
Yes.
the CRM.
Yeah, so actually, what I've been doing, much to Varun's chagrin, is handing out our Zapier code. So like if you had a developer, I can hand you the Zapier code, and Zapier just calls our API under the hood. And so I can hand that over to a developer right now, and anything you can do with Zapier, you can do direct, and I'm happy to give that to you. And then like I said, if you have a developer, they can figure that out. Now over time though, I actually we'll continue to build out the API and actually formalize it and document it and all that good stuff. So we'll definitely move more in that direction, but there are some options right now if you have a need.
Okay, yeah, that's awesome. I guess it kind of goes along with that. It feels like your approach is to kind of build all the functionality that people request in-house, which is awesome. But I worry that eventually you can't be all things to all people. So is there kind of a boundary or a focus you want to maintain and say,
Yes.
we're never going to try to be more than this? You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's ridiculous to think that we're going to build everything. I would say take the lack of an open API as representative of the fact of a lack of a limited number of resources, less a limited intention, which is why I'm handing out Zapier code to random strangers who PM me. So, but I think that our goal is to own the core marketing software stack for an agency. So I think there's lots of places where we won't go. I don't know the best way to define that to you.
No, that helps. That makes sense to me. The area that I've been running into is one of my clients really, they're trying to use HighLevel as a full featured CRM, and they're just running into constraints because you didn't design it to be a super in-depth CRM necessarily.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how far we go there. I mean, I also think there's also like this complexity gap where, if you've ever tried to use Salesforce, it's like you buy Salesforce and then you immediately hire a consultant and then you start to use it after 4 months of paying the consultant to set it up for you. And so I think I never want to be in that world. So full featured CRM, I think like, if I had to really think about I could say like, gosh, our task management's kind of crappy. We got to fix that. I'm trying to think like we need file attachments, which I think are going to be really important at some point here soon. And probably already are. We have a couple of things like we need to be able to make it easy for you to see some of the data a little bit better. Like when a form gets submitted, we'll have like a forms inbox and a surveys inbox here soon, sort of some of those things. But if I think about like, well, what's actually missing on a CRM basis, I'm trying to think. I mean, besides stuff that's kind of uber complex, like custom formula fields, and I'm trying to think of things that I've seen in CRMs that really blow my mind.
The smart list is really going to take us way closer to being,
the smart list is, I think the biggest thing I see from a CRM perspective is like the filtering and the sorting and the show me people who had a last contact date in the last 7 days and have this tag but don't have these two tags, like that kind of thing, which is what smart lists are. I think those will help a lot. What particular features from your perspective are you missing or they're asking for that we don't have?
Well, I'm not looking for you to try to solve all these problems. I wouldn't expect it, but they're coming from a specific use case. They're coming from mind body, which is all for, the health and wellness space. And they're looking at the back end, like the customer satisfaction side. What's their history, appointment schedules, stuff like that.
Yeah. So here's what I think. I think in all the verticals out there, there are always going to be CRMs that just annihilate us and will never even attempt to go in that direction. But likewise, I think that the protection on our side and on your side is those CRM's capabilities of moving with the world of marketing will always forever be constrained by normally you could say, well, they'll probably be constrained by the fact that marketing changes. And that's really true. But I actually think the bigger constraint that they'll never really admit to is the fact that their customer couldn't run it anyways. Right? And this is my problem. Like, this is why we don't sell to small business. It's like, this is why I don't sell direct. It's too hard for these people to do this stuff, and it always will be. And they're at the, and the good ones understand that, and the bad ones just lie to themselves until they either go broke or they change their mind. Generally speaking, I really do believe that. I mean, I'm very passionate about it, and this is why we do what we do. I actually really got into this business to help small businesses. I just realized that the best people to do that were you, right? And so for us, I always think we'll have this system that sits apart. In fact, I literally got off the phone with an old customer of mine right before this. He runs an like a cleaning business, and he has guys. He's like, why isn't there a system where you can track leads and you can move them through a pipeline, and then you can put it in, and then it's also at the same time a job management system? And I'm like, dude, it's because they're two different things. Like, cleaning carpets at the Verizon store and making sure your guy goes out there and does it is always going to be different than knocking on doors, getting those new leads, whatever your pipeline is. And I don't think you, as the owner of that business, can successfully do both. He disagreed with me, but I think he's wrong. So we're just going to have to agree to disagree on that.
No, I get where you're coming from, and I appreciate it.
Sean, do you know what you might consider? Are you familiar with PieSync?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you just call up. I believe the guy's name is Aaron Goslin over there.
Mm-hmm.
They might build you out a PieSync integration just for the potential of users, and then it could work with any other CRM that people like to use.
I'm down for that. We just need to add it to the ideas list. But if he wants to build it out, I'm all down for that. Honestly, what I'm excited about though is I am excited to get around to having a full featured API, because my previous SaaS company, if none of you know what it was about, it was a QuickBooks add-on, and I got to 1,000 customers off my kitchen table all by myself, and I only was able to do that because QuickBooks and Xero had these really robust APIs. And what little I've seen people do with the APIs we parcel out has been amazing. So I'm hugely committed to doing this. I just need to get a couple more developers under the belt and a couple more features out for you folks, but we're definitely moving in that direction. I mean, you can see the platform has already matured quite a bit this year. And, my real focus right now is reporting. I want Facebook reporting out, delivery reporting out. We just got AdWords reporting out, which I'm pretty excited about. We're going to bring in the huge thing I'm looking for, honestly, is form attribution. So our form guy, I don't know if any of you guys really realize this, but we released brand new forms, brand new surveys, which are smoking fast compared to what they were before. And the calendar widget has also been completely updated and overhauled. So all of those are faster than they were. So now the forms guy is going to move on to attribution. And so to me, that means, just like the phone calls, if I submit a form off the website, I want to know that contact came in from Google AdWords, Facebook, whatever. We pair that up with the reporting that we're generating. And then now we can go back to our clients and say, hey, these ads ran, you got these leads that turned into these opportunities that turned into this kind of ROI, right? To me, that's the number one thing that we need to work on. And so we're going to hammer out through the reporting through the next month and a half to 2 months. And then I think we'll kind of start to transition into a lot of these smaller things like APIs, PieSync, a bunch more triggers and stuff, just things that'll make everyone's life a lot easier. Sorry, that probably more than you want to know, but
Hey, Sean,
I'd like to share.
are you guys we like as I shared with you, like our the back end sales side of it, to really be able to track more of that and to report on that? Is that?
Yeah, so sales tracking will come at the end. Sales tracking is kind of weird. We're talking about more of agent tracking, because I remember seeing your app, right? Which is really, it's not just sales, but it's really focal around the agent, right? Is that
the agent, the source, everything tied together.
And if anyone hasn't seen Bill's app, it's pretty impressive actually. But agent reporting will come last. My gut tells me I should model it off of something like a Close.io, where, because if I think about our customer base, like where do agents come in? They come in on the outbound side, right? Like on the agency side, they could be outbounding to potential agency leads, but in a lot of these businesses, they're just outbounding to leads that come into the business. So I think that's what we'll model it off of. And yeah, like I said, that will come in, I would say in January, February, March. Yeah, probably tail end of March, early April.
Oh, that's awesome. That's
Yeah, those will be the last reports we drop. I really want to get all the front end stuff, the capture stuff, like, hey, where are we getting all these leads from, done first, and then how is my agent, like because the other thing to remember is if you're running a small business, there are no agents, right? There's no like Bob, Joe the plumber isn't like, we're not going to track him like an agent. So the people who are doing agents tend to be on the higher end of things, and so we'll drop that report last.
But you are making huge, anybody who hasn't seen, the strides are coming fast, and you've got a hockey stick really going.
Well, and we're also really committed to making the platform just as it is better. So like, for example, our conversation page got a speed update recently, and I mean, you can move through the, like if you toggle between read and unread, it's just lightning fast. Whereas before it used to actually round trip to the database. It took a lot more time. And then we have a new version of the opportunity, an updated version of the opportunities page coming out next week that will do the same thing. And I mean, and when you say come out, it's not going to look terribly different. We're going to tighten up the cards a little bit to make them a little smaller. We're going to give people a couple of options to hide some stuff, but the majority of the changes are all be under the hood just to make that page super fast in comparison to how it is today. And so, but that's going to represent like a programmer's time for a month to have gotten that done. So, but we like that because we know as people add more and more people into the system, or they're trying to get it out to clients, some of those reliability things are way more important than the next whiz-bang feature that the client may or may not see or use. So we're just as committed now to taking the existing platform and just up-leveling it. And the facelift that was asked about earlier, that's part of that too. I think that will come on the tail end of all the speed enhancements. I think with some CSS, we can make it just a little prettier, and I think everyone will like it. So those are the things that we're also doing in comparison to just new features.
So someone asked a question in Facebook that I think brings up a really good topic, because I'm seeing this more and more. So the use case is I have a business that needs HighLevel of his clients. Should I charge him $300 and put it under me, or better to have him join as an affiliate? So I think this happens a lot, and I've seen this where basically a business sort of grows up with you, and maybe they have multiple locations, and now all of a sudden they want their own white labeled version of the app, but they're not a marketing company. It's really dangerous to just throw them through your affiliate. One, because like Sean said, we don't sell directly to small businesses, and two, because they're just going to flounder, right? They need you and your support to be between HighLevel and them. And so I think the best way to do this is to open up another account for them with your credit card, and then you bill them what you want, right? So you can add in margin because you're going to provide them support. And that's the clean sort of best way to go about it.
We've had other people do that too, by the way, successfully.
Yeah, Matt Coffey has done that. And so maybe we'll work on a way to make that a little more easy for people, like clear on how to sort of graduate clients to their own white label. But don't throw people straight through your affiliate link, because they flounder. And then when that gets brought to our attention, we have to go to them and say, hey, you can't be a direct customer of HighLevel. We need to put you under somebody. And I was under somebody. And so it creates a mess. So the best way to do it is open an account on their behalf on your credit card that you then rebill to them.
Has everybody know we do white label services now? Just to make sure everybody knows about that. That's another big focus of what we're trying to do. We see a huge correlation between people who are more full service and the length of time that they're keeping their clients. So I just highly recommend that if you haven't looked into those, it's at least worth jumping on a meeting about it. Also from a scalability perspective, if you're out there doing fulfillment and you're trying to prospect at the same time, you're really doing yourself a disservice by not getting rid of the fulfillment piece. And even if you don't use us, if I just knew that you were all using someone, I would feel a lot happier, because I know that you would be doing better as an agency and you'd be more scalable.
That brings up something that we can tease. So the member marketplace is in the works.
Oh, yeah.
Akash is I've been working with him on the design and some of the content, so it's getting pretty close. Where basically you'll be able to register yourself if you're a white level service provider, and the community can browse around based on industry and service. And like Sean said, so if it's a service that we can't provide directly, or you would love to work with someone in the community, we're going to make that a lot easier for you.
Yep, and we're also working on a bigger partner program as well. I don't know, I can't, Chase, I don't know if you heard about this yet, but we're also going to be building out what sort of will become a premier partner program. And we'll have a lot more details on this soon, but it'll include a lot of enhanced training. We're going to do some actual in-person events. So there's a lot of cool stuff coming up that I think will help if you're on the partner side, and if you're interested in learning more or just being more involved. We'll have some really great stuff for you here very shortly on that. So look out for that probably in early March. Cool. Oh, can we go over the solar snapshot? Hey, Chase, you want to do that?
Yeah, so we ran through that in the beginning. Steven, did you jump on late?
Yes, I think he said, oh no, maybe.
Is Steven here?
Says it is.
No, just a brief overview. So sure, I'll share my screen again, and
I'm going to hop to my next customer call. So thanks, everybody. Bye.
all right, see you, Sean. All right, Steven, you guys can see my screen, right? So the solar snapshot is very similar to the claim book. Basically, we've got a landing page here that pitches a quote, and the only unique thing is that it has a survey. So let me do a hard refresh here. In the survey builder, you'll see the survey that you'll want to customize to ask some questions like this: what's your average bill? Do you own your home? Address, and then I think there's one more screen with some information. That's going to take them to the second page, which is, thanks for claiming your free quote. Let's go ahead and book a day and time to review it. This would also, you'd want to kick off a campaign that's going to, continually remind them to book a day and time if they haven't already. And then the third page is just a thank you page. So pretty straightforward. Steven, did you have any specific questions? I'll get back to my chat. Okay, there we go.
Oh, no, I was just looking at it a little more briefly because I know. When did you actually release the snapshot? Was it a couple of weeks ago?
What's that?
When did you release the snapshot? Was it a couple of weeks ago or just recently?
This one was one of the first. It was in the original batch. So it was made quite a while ago. Which is, to be honest, why the design is pretty bare bones. The newer ones that I've been working on, we've tried to really spruce them up a lot more. But I mean, in the end, it's sort of the same, right? It's a landing page with saying, hey, claim a free quote, and then, hey, let's get you on the calendar.
Okay. Well, I know you know a lot about Rob Bailey, and I know, Sean promotes him a lot. Do you know if he actually worked with solar companies building out like, high-level campaigns and how successful they are? I mean, I know he has a pretty big group outside of HighLevel.
Yeah, I don't know if Rob specifically works in solar. I know Rob puts a lot of focus on database reactivation campaigns. So if you or a client has a big database of past leads that didn't pan out, he's really good at going back out to them and getting them to re-engage. But you'd have to ping him directly to see if he's got experience in solar. I'm not sure off the top of my head.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, and don't hesitate to reach out. He's a great guy. He'd be happy to hear from you. All right, we just hit the hour. Does anybody have any last minute questions? Just checking Facebook real quick. Frankly, can I get in on the Zapier key? Ping Sean. All right, looks like we have reached the end. As always, the replay will be posted on our YouTube channel. Usually takes a day or two. for the recording to get posted into my account. And then it'll also be included in the weekly roundup. So if you haven't seen, every Friday now, we'll shoot out an e-blast that has all the new help docs that went out, the new videos, and any news that we need to get across. So see you next week, same day, same time. Till then, have a great weekend, everybody.